All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today, but before we get into the main stories of today's video, I wanted to start off with a very serious topic that a lot of you guys have been asking me about and messaging me about, and I wanted to confirm that it does appear to be true. So I wanted to start off with a moment of silence here for John Meadows. So I'm sure most of you guys watching this video know who John Meadows is, and you've probably watched one of his videos before. I know I've watched a lot of his training videos. He had a lot of really interesting training methods and techniques, and I'm sure, like I said, most of you guys watching this probably know who he is. And I did want to confirm that it looks like, unfortunately, it is true that John Meadows passed away. Now, I do not know what happened. I don't know how, but on John Meadows' Instagram page, this is what was posted within the last hour. Dear friends and family, I am posting this on behalf of Mary. This morning, John passed away unexpectedly and peacefully in their home. As you can imagine, this is a complete shock to her and the boys. She will update as soon as she can. Please know that she is very thankful for all the prayers and support she knows her and her boys will receive from you all. And then it says it's from Brooke Napo. So I just wanted to start off with that. It's very unfortunate, but I know that a lot of people were posting about it. A lot of people were wondering if it was true. It does look like it has been confirmed, unfortunately. So I wanted to start this video with, like I said, the moment of silence, but also to leave in the comment section below your favorite memory of John Meadows. What was one thing, one positive thing that you remembered from John Meadows, whether it was a video, whether it was a post, whatever it was. I want you to comment just one impact that John Meadows had on your life, if he did. I think that would be a good way to start things off before we get into everything else. So rest in peace, John Meadows, and a moment of silence. All right, so the first story that I have for you guys today, Iain Valliere, confirming in his post-Tampa interview and in this post that he will be going on to also compete in the Texas Pro this coming weekend, which I find to be an extremely interesting decision considering the fact that Iain is already qualified for the Olympia by winning the Tampa Pro. So he does not need to do Texas. And everybody else that's doing Texas is trying to qualify for the Olympia still. Steve Kuclo being one of the big names that's in that show. I would hazard a guess that a lot of the guys that didn't win Tampa will probably be going on to this Texas show to either try to earn more points or to try to win the show and qualify for the Olympia. So a pretty bold move from Iain going into Texas, because on the chance that he wins, I mean, he's basically taking away an opportunity for whoever else is there, or whoever else is there trying to get to the Olympia. Now, if he loses, I think that puts a little bit of a damper on his momentum going into the Olympia. It'd be different going in from a win from Tampa than going in from a loss in Texas, which is possible. Like I said, Steve Kuclo is going to be in this lineup, and Steve is a guy that has beaten Iain on multiple occasions in the past. Which brings me to the segue for the next story that I have. Steve Kuclo's last physique update of his last leg day in the books before he takes the stage next week at the Texas Pro. And prior to Iain announcing that he was doing Texas, Steve was really the biggest name in that lineup. Of course, not currently qualified for the Olympia, Steve, looking to qualify here in Texas. So Iain versus Texas is probably going to be the biggest battle of that show. And like I said, on multiple occasions in the past, Steve has beaten Iain. In fact, I don't think there has been an occasion where Steve and Iain went head-to-head and Iain won. So Texas will be an interesting one in men's open bodybuilding. And like I said, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other guys. Probably Max Charles will do that show. I would also expect, I mean, I would really like to see Phil Klahar jump in that lineup as well and have a rematch with Iain, because I really think that Phil, it was kind of a coin toss. I mean, you could have given that Tampa Pro victory to Phil Klahar all day, I think. So I would like to see some of those guys, some of those top guys from Tampa go over to Texas, and I'm sure they likely will. But right now, I would put my money on Steve Kuclo over Iain Valliere. That'll be my prediction. I think if Steve and Iain go head-to-head in Texas, I think Steve comes out on top. Steve is looking pretty gnarly in a lot of the updates that he's posted. Very vascular, very grainy. His conditioning looks to be top-notch. And Steve is a dangerous guy that I think gets counted out and forgotten about oftentimes. But I think the Texas Pro is going to be Steve's show. Now, next up in the news, Patrick Moore. So with the ending of this weekend, it brings us to another week, which makes us now 8 weeks out from the Olympia. 1 week closer to October. So Patrick Moore posting this physique update at 8 weeks out from the Olympia. This time showing us a little bit of his abs, how his V-taper is looking, how his midsection is looking going into the Olympia. I think most people would agree that the main focus for Patrick going into the Olympia, comparatively to how he looked in California, would be conditioning. I think he needs to be a lot tighter, a lot sharper than he was in Cali on the Olympia stage to be more competitive in that Olympia lineup. Now, I would say based on what we've seen so far from Patrick over the past couple of weeks, it looks like he's on track to do that. Hopefully, that's what he has in the back of his mind, is coming in sharper than Cali. I know that for a large majority of the time that he took off from competing, he spent putting on size. So the goal was to grow and make improvements from a size standpoint. But I think going forward from Cali to the Olympia, conditioning needs to be the focus. I think he put on enough size where he wanted to, especially in his back. And I think conditioning is primarily what I'm going to be looking for, and I'm sure what a lot of you guys will be looking for as well when Patrick Moore takes the Olympia stage in October. So shout out to Patrick Moore, and so far, looking pretty good. Now, next up in the news, let's talk about 212 bodybuilding a little bit. And really the guy that a lot of people thought was going to be the heir to the throne of Flex Lewis, but placing his last go-around at the Olympia, placing 4th. He was runner-up 2 years ago. And that is Derek Lunsford. So Derek did a guest posing this weekend at the NPC Knox Classic where he looked phenomenal. I even saw some people in the comment section of that video suggesting that he should even move up to men's open bodybuilding. Now he looks to have added on. Actually, it looks like some quality actual tissue. But I think the primary issue with Derek at the Olympia wasn't necessarily that he wasn't big enough or that he didn't have enough size. I think that the main issue was conditioning. He looked a little bit flat, a little bit soft, especially in 2020, and that's what cost him a couple placings there. So while he looks really impressive at this guest posing, I've always thought that he had the size that it would take to win the title. The only real area that it ever looked like Derek needed to work on from a size standpoint was his lower body. He's got a really tremendous upper body, and it looks like he's made those improvements to his legs where they needed to be. And now he is working, of course, with Hani Rambod, the coach of Phil Heath, and the coach of Hadi Chupin. Hani Rambod, one of the best coaches in the game, and also notably, he's switching up his coach and having Hani for this Olympia prep where he didn't last year. So he had a different coach last year, so he's making a major change this year. And obviously, everything he's doing so far is working. I mean, he looks fantastic in this guest posing video. That's the takeaway from this. But the question is going to be, will he nail his conditioning this year? Because that is definitely what let him down last year. He was just too soft, and to me, he looked too flat. But the physique that he has, if he's able to come in sharp and nail his conditioning, like Sean Clarita is much smaller than Derek. But the reason Sean won the Olympia was because his conditioning was just absolutely nasty. It was that sharp and it was that undeniable that Sean had to win. I mean, it was that good. If Derek could bring conditioning like that, he would just be a world beater. I mean, there'd be no way he wouldn't win the title. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you guys think will win the 212 Olympia title this year? Will it be Derek? Will it be Keon? Will it be Sean Clarita repeating? Will it be Kamal El Gargni, or will it be somebody else? Let me know your 212 Olympia predictions in the comments down below. And the final story that I have for you guys today, a potential update on Mariusz Pudzianowski versus Hafthor Bjornsson, potentially being Thor's next fight. Now, as you guys know, Eddie Hall recently had to back out of the fight due to an injury, a bicep tear. So the fight in September with Eddie Hall is not happening, but Thor is still ready to fight, and he's looking for a new opponent. Now, Mariusz Pudzianowski has a pretty good amount of MMA experience. He has fought many times before, but the biggest similarity between Thor and Mariusz is the fact they are both former World's Strongest Man winners and strongman competitors, and they've both chosen to kind of make this crossover into fighting. So Mariusz put up this post on Instagram, and he actually says, when you hit the translate button, he says, "Getting closer to finalizing the contract. However, Poland and KSW are less complicated than the West. I'm slowly slipping. It doesn't matter if this fight will be or not, but I'll have to be ready because anything can happen. I don't sell leather. I don't know. The rest of it doesn't really make sense. But the important part of this status, of this update, he says there's a contract in place, or there's a contract at least that exists, and they're getting closer to finalizing it. So it was more, this whole thing, this whole potential fight between Thor and Meadows, apparently it is more than just back and forth on social media. Apparently a contract exists, and they are trying to finalize it. So it looks like this might be something that actually happens and that Thor might actually entertain. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who would win, Meadows or Hafthor Bjornsson, if they decided to take it to the ring and box? That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.